Alright you guys, so let's continue working on this front suspension. Today I'm going to be replacing the front lower ball joints with these nice new Hardrace pieces, thanks to RHD Performance. So over the past couple videos I've been working on the front suspension. We've done the inner and outer tie rods, and last week we did the front upper camber kits. This week we're going to be doing the front lower ball joints. All these pieces are from Hardrace, and they're provided to me by RHD Performance. If you check out RHD Performance, they've got a lot of great stuff on their website, all OEM genuine Honda parts, as well as aftermarket parts like these Hardrace pieces. What I need to do today to mess with these front lower ball joints, which are hidden under there, we need to go ahead and take this whole knuckle off. And here are the tools that I believe I'll be using. Of course, standard socket set with various sizes. We'll be using the impact gun here because that is awesome for the axle nuts, makes quick work of it. This guy right here is the master ball joint puller set that you can rent from a local auto parts store. And we'll get into this later, but essentially this big C-clamp sits around the ball joint, and then you use this guy to kind of push the ball joint out of its place. We'll look at that when we get there. And then of course a hammer, because you always need a hammer, and here's a flathead. So as you can see here, I have not tightened down these tie rods, and I have obviously not connected the front upper camber arm. I left that there purposely so that I could do a few less connections when going and taking off this arm. Okay, so let's start with the axle nut. We gotta bend this metal out of place so that we can get this guy off. And with that guy knocked out of place there, we're gonna go ahead and use the 32mm impact driver, and we're gonna blast this axle nut off. So loud. All right, so with the axle nut off, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is take off this caliper. Now we're gonna go ahead and swing the caliper up, and I'm gonna remove the brake discs. So I'll just work with this bolt right here, and that'll swing up this caliper. And then back behind here, there's two, I believe they're 17mm. We'll find out in a sec. We got the one up top, and then we got the one right back down in there. And there you can see our torn up front lower ball joint. That's kind of why that needs to go. And this guy back here is a 12mm on our standard socket. Go ahead and break this free. Hello. There's the one side of the pad. There's the one pad that just fell out. And then there we got the other. Alright, so we got the brake pads out. Those are my Hawk HP Plus brake pads. I'll have to take a look and see if that's like normal wear. I don't know. We'll have to see. But so anyway, I went ahead and just kind of pushed the axle through a little bit. You'll see here I already undone the front tie rod there, and of course the upper arm is done. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and remove these two little bolts here. I believe they're 10 or 12 for the brake line, and we're going to go ahead and move that free, and then we'll get the caliper free. And I just want to show you, I actually put a zip tie up here, up around the upper part of the arm and one of the coils on the spring, just to keep everything in place. You may be saying like, oh dude, why don't you just leave the axle nut in or leave something connected? Well, they've all got to be unconnected at some point. So since this whole thing is lower, I can't exactly connect it up here without manipulating that bushing too much. So I just connected it with the zip tie. You do what you want, but that seems to work out for me right now. So let's continue on. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these two bolts I was telling you about, and we'll break free the line, and then we'll go ahead and move the caliper. Okay, so brake line out of the way. What we're gonna do now is work on the caliper. You see back in here, we have a 17mm right there on the bottom, and then there's a 17mm right there up on the top. So we're gonna go ahead and remove those. And the good thing about having kind of loose connections here, that I'm seeing anyway, is that this thing can be manipulated and moved very easily. And that means that we can get the gun in there, which does work, son. So we can just put that thing up in there and blast that 17 out. Heyo. Alright, so that's the caliper off. And zip ties, man, you gotta love them. This is the dealings of a non-mechanic, okay? I am not a mechanic. This is just what I see as I see it. And I see that it's easier to move the brake caliper out of the way. I don't want to take the line completely off. You see I removed it from the bottom of the shock here, but I'm just kind of hanging it from this motor mount by this zip tie, because who doesn't love zip ties? You can see here my rotor, which does not look awesome. That will be being replaced. See, that's getting kind of grody up in there. And this gives us our first good look here at the lower ball joint. And you can see how kind of crusty that is. It's torn on the one side, and yeah, just doesn't look great. Been there for a while. Just a little quick tip, I guess, if this is considered a tip. I'm going ahead and putting these bolts back in their positions on the caliper, and then kind of where these guys sit for up in there, and then even this guy, just so they're not on the floor loose and I don't go missing them. Okay, so this next part here is the part that I'm kind of worried about. These screws right here got to come out, and yes, they are screws, and that is the freaking worst. Look at this, man. Putting screws in here just seems like such a bad idea. But so I got to try to break those things free and hopefully not strip them any more than what they already appear to be. And then we're going to take this brake rotor off. Okay, so quick update. This thing, as gnarly as this looks, it came free so easily. It is so easily. Like, look. So I guess that's a good thing, at least in this minute, that this one's coming out nice and easy. Goodness. Yeah, I do not think I'll be putting that back in there. Let's try to get that other one. Okay, so whew, this guy is definitely chewed up, but it broke free pretty easily considering the condition of this. I mean, you look at that and you're gonna be like, oh my God, that's not gonna move anywhere. But yeah, came free pretty easily. Thank goodness. We'll not be reusing these guys. All right, so now, there comes the rotor. Voila. And we've got the hub and the dust shield exposed. And we can go ahead and probably work on this lower last connection here. All right, so using some pliers, we're gonna go ahead and remove this cotter pin down here. And then we got to take this castle nut off. And that's a 17 millimeter as well. Alright, so this guy is ready to be free. We've got everything undone. I just got my zip tie up here, which I'm going to disconnect here in a second. All done. Okay, let's go ahead and clip the zip tie. Now I'm going to push the axle through and then pull the thing up. So I underestimated how stuck even a broken ball joint can be. So I'm going to go ahead and use my ball joint separator down here, and I've reconnected a zip tie back up the top just for now. Let's try this one more time. Cut my zip tie free up top. Pull this guy, pull that guy up on out. Push the axle through, and there we go. All right, so it is all free there. We got the hub, knuckle, this is a little dust shield here. I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy off, and then yeah, let's go ahead and inspect this thing. All right, you guys, so got the whole knuckle or arm, whatever you want to call it, out. And yeah, pretty cool, man. I've never done this before, so it's pretty sweet. It's definitely not a hard job, you know, it's nuts and bolts, man. It's like playing with Legos. But so here is the original lower ball joint. You know, it is shot, man. Look at that. I mean, totally ripped up in there. Yeah, it's seen better days. It doesn't move like, well, I mean, it moves okay. But, you know, it just needs to go. But so that's the hard part, you know, we actually have to go ahead and press this thing out of where it's at. But so let's take a look at the hub while we're here. Like, it looks good to me. I mean, yeah, it looks kind of, you know, crusty and stuff, but listen to it. It spins fine. I don't hear any like crunching or anything like that, you know, any kind of that sand in there. Like, I don't know, it spins pretty good. Now I wonder if I had like a brand new bearing, would it spin like totally free and just keep on spinning? Maybe, you know, you guys tell me, let me know. I'm not gonna be putting this arm back in today, so I'm definitely considering doing some new wheel bearings as well. Yeah, I don't know. But let's go ahead and take this dust shield off for right now. And so here's the bearing. I mean, it spins fine, I don't know, but you know, I definitely could see the benefit of doing new wheel bearings now while this thing is out. So anyway, here's the dust shield. Looks like we got some more Phillips head bolts. My goodness, man. Phillips head bolts on a car seems crazy to me. Alright, so I got the dust shield off. We can definitely see the ball joint now. And here's the new one for comparison. Yeah, definitely dramatic again. And then here's the other little pieces that come with it. Little clip rings here. Nice little Hardrace logo to go on top of this guy here. So the next thing to do is go ahead and remove this old lower ball joint. Look at how easy that moves. So you see these here, these clip rings or snap rings, whatever you want to call them. That is right up in there. There we go, that is right there. You see those two little clips there? We're gonna go ahead and remove that with these needle nose pliers, kind of pop them in and separate, and then that little ring should fly out. The snap ring or the clip ring is actually kind of hard to get off there. You see I had to use my vice grips, and I was kind of working it with these two flatheads here and just kind of pushing it off to the side. Then I eventually just got it with the vice grips. So we got the snap ring off. Now we're gonna start messing with this kit. Now I'm just gonna tell you right now, I have never done this before. I'm just gonna try to get this done. If there is a specific way that you do it or everyone knows a great trick, awesome. This is what I'm doing. I'm gonna be taking this C-clamp here, and you take this guy here, obviously, and you feed it on through there. What my plan is to take this piece, pop it on over top here, you take the cap, pop it on here, so that way this piece has something to press against, and then the other part of the C-clamp will just sit up here, and that's hopefully just gonna push everything out. This part right here, I know you're supposed to maybe try to keep on here so they can feed it on through. This does not work here. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to try to fight this thing on out. We'll see how it goes. All right, so here's attempt number 2. All right, so that started to work. I could see it coming up right here. So I think I'm gonna try it a little bit more and then probably blast it with the hammer and just smash it on out of there. Progress update, you see it moving. I just took off the rest of the boot and these little rings that were around this guy, and Mr. Hammer time, and just whata again. Just smash it. Alright, so as you can see, we got it out. This little ring here just kind of popped out of this place right here, and then here's the old ball joint. Now, you know, I started it with this piece right here with this rental tool, and then I kind of just smashed the rest of it out with the hammer. This tool really almost just started the thing. And, you know, I don't know if you could see in the video there, but it doesn't really quite sit totally right in here. Like this piece right here gets real awkward when you're trying to drill up on that side, and this thing kind of pushes up. Like, I don't know, you kind of just got to maneuver it, but it does work out in the end. So here we have the new one. So again, very dramatic difference, huh? But so we're gonna go ahead and grease this guy up just a little bit on the sides here. I'm gonna go ahead and push this down on in. We're gonna try to use the tool again to make sure it's pressed in. And then I may use the hammer, or I don't know, some sort of just pressing tool to push this back in and seat it correctly. And then once it's in, we're gonna go ahead and tape our little snap ring and go ahead and place that around this side right here. and we'll top it off with the nice little Hardrace logo up on top. So here I just have some wheel bearing grease, and I'm not putting a lot, you know. You just put a little bit just to make sure this guy has something to slip on. Then we'll go ahead and pop it on in there. So here's where this tool is actually going to shine, I think. We're going to go ahead and use this ring here, which you just put right over top of this guy. And then over top of that, we're going to use this ring kind of sandwiched in there so that it's sitting like this over top. This part of the C-clamp little tool here is going to press into this, and then this part will sit up against the top of the ball joint, hopefully just kind of squeezing it on in there. Let's see. So before I start really wrenching on it, just wanted to show you, there's that little stopper that's going to press against the cylinder that the ball joint's going to get pushed through, and then the top of the arm to do the pushing. Let's see. Let's put the gun on this end and blast it down. Oh yeah. So just to show you guys again, this is how it's set up. It's pressed down on in there. It's kind of hard to explain, but you'll see it once you have the kit if you try this. And that's the new one pressed on in. So essentially what happened is, you know, I started off by using these guys, but then there came a point where this thread part was sticking out enough to where it was right here. So I had to go ahead and put this cap on then too. You probably could just start it off like that, but that's just how I did it. That's how I ended up with this. But yeah, it worked. Pressed it on in. So now we can take our little snap rings here, and we're going to go ahead and put it up on the inside, right around that groove, right where the original one was. All right, dudes, so that's the snap ring in. And let me tell you, that was maybe the hardest part of the whole freaking job. So what I did here was I used my needle nose pliers, and you kind of put them into these little holes here, and then you try to open the pliers as much as possible. Now that's pretty hard because that thing is pretty stiff. So what I ended up doing is bracing it. I actually ended up bracing it against this wheel because this cart doesn't move. And then I was like leaning my body weight into pressing this into these, opening them as much as possible and pushing the thing up on in. It kind of got hung up here a little bit, and you'll probably have that same kind of issue, but then just keep working at it, and eventually it gets there. And you see right in there, it is in the groove it's supposed to be in. And that prevents this thing from ever getting the chance to get pushed back up. Like, that thing is so freaking stiff. And so I already started on the driver's side. I got that one out. I got to do that next. And again, this is what I'm doing, you guys. Like, all these, the nuts, like the axle nut, the nut for the tie rod, bolts here, tied up the caliper. I'm just leaving all this stuff connected up so that I don't lose those nuts. And the last thing I did for the minute was this ring here that seats up with the axle. I went ahead and just put that in and lightly tapped it in with the rubber mallet. And here's that cool Hardrace little piece, beveled nice little piece there that we can put on top. And just go doink, right like that. Sweet. So that's job done for today. I'm gonna leave this thing out still because I do believe I am gonna go ahead and change out these wheel bearings and probably the hubs. So I need to go ahead and look at what pieces I will need for that. Obviously the wheel bearing and the hub, but what do you guys recommend? Are the OEM ones the best to go with, or is there an aftermarket piece? Maybe even one that's, specific for racing. I don't know. I gotta look into that. But so really nice, brand new lower ball joint in there. Super thanks to RHD Performance for getting me all of these parts, you guys. All of these parts are from them. Anything Hardrace you're seeing, and these wicked coilovers that I do have coming. And that's just, I guess, the curse of this project is everything takes time and longer than I thought. But hey, you know, it's totally cool, man. I'm loving all of this, and this is pretty fun. You know, the work is hard, I'm sweating, but it's pretty fun. So yeah, you know, one thing that I just want to say here at the end is, you know, I think what these videos give a lot of you guys is just motivation. You know, I feel like a lot of you know how to do all these kind of projects, and that's really cool, man. You know, it's interesting to me that you would watch someone else do it when you already know how to do it, but I get that because I watch other guys do car work on YouTube and on TV, you know, and it's cool to just kind of watch it and be involved with it, and maybe you pick up something new, or, you know, some of you guys like to, you know, point out things that I do wrong, and that's fine too, you know, just do it in a nice way, okay? But so, yeah, thanks a lot for watching, man. It's just really cool that, you know, you all keep coming back and hanging around, and, you know, I promise all of this is building up to something much bigger with these coilovers. And then that kind of opens the door in my mind for all the cool stuff. You know, once the car is low and looking right, we can start making it look cool on the outside too. And then of course, go chase some lap times. That's my biggest thing. So I've got this other side to do. I'm probably gonna finish that up tomorrow because, yeah, I just don't want to do it right now. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Talk to you in the comments.